Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to go to Schoology, and in Schoology there is this beautiful document called a knowledge journal. Ooh, knowledge. Okay, so it's right underneath our vocabulary. But I would like you to go and put this knowledge journal, it should have a lovely teal color, in your notability. And I have put the chat so that you can talk to me. You can't talk to each other, but you can talk to me.
It's is it supposed to be orange?
Nope, it's supposed to be teal. So it is a knowledge journal.
Mine says knowledge, but it's orange.
Yeah, mine too.
Ooh, let me see. Did I mix them up? Let's see. Oh, no, do not the response journal. It's right. Knowledge journal. What was it later? Sorry, I will get the response journal. Response journal. So the other one. Separated them.
Are glitchy.
Okay, I'll shut off my thing. Let me know if I'm still glitchy.
I could barely.
So the response journal. Okay. So in your response journal, ooh, this is really big. Okay, let's go to page 2. Let's put in the date. 1. Okay. I got 1-7. And not working. Okay, 1-7. And we are going to say the title is Lewis and Clark story. Okay. And I want you to put these 3 questions here. I want you to write words. Words. I'm sorry, notability is being silly today. Words I wonder about. I want you to write ideas or confusing. Actually, I'm going to write confusing ideas or words, and then questions. Okay? You don't have the response journal? The response journal, again, is in Schoology. Right here, the response journal. Okay? So it's right in language arts. And I want you to write Lewis and Clark story. I want you to write down words I wonder about, confusing ideas or words, and questions. Okay. So what we're going to do is I am going to reread Lewis and Clark. So we read this the other day, okay? And I want you to, actually, I just want you to listen. I'm going to reread it, and I just want you to listen. When you hear a word that you wonder about, I want you to write down here. If there's an idea or a word that's kind of confusing, I want you to write down. If you have any questions that come up, I want you to write down. Produce them, huh?
You're
You
glitchy.
do. I'm glitchy. Everybody shut off your camera. Shut off your camera. Maybe I have to restart my computer. I was telling some students I downloaded something new for WebEx. The teachers got because WebEx is glitchy, so hopefully that'll work. You do not have to you don't have to pull this up. I'm going to read it. I want you to type words you wonder, confusing ideas or words or questions, okay? So just listen. The Lewis and Clark expedition. In 1803, President Thomas Jefferson guided a splendid piece of foreign diplomacy through the United States Senate, the purchase of Louisiana Territory from France. After the Louisiana Purchase Treaty was made, Jefferson initiated an exploration of the newly purchased land and the territory beyond the Great Rock Mountains in the west. So what we're doing, sorry, I have people that are just coming in. What you're doing right now is you are writing in your response journal, okay, we just got it from Schoology, words you wonder about, confusing ideas or words or questions. Okay, I'm going to continue reading. So write down words or questions you have questions about.
Wait, I thought I wrote that down in the knowledge.
Yes, you did. Yep. That's right.
So we have to send the response journal to Notability.
Yes, to write into it, write in it. Because you did this, right? Yeah. Okay.
I'm doing it.
Okay. I'll move this here. That way we can see both. I will continue. Jefferson chose his personal secretary, Meriwether Lewis, an intelligent and literate man who also possessed skills as a frontiersman. Lewis, in turn, solicited the help of William Clark, whose abilities as draftsman and frontiersman were even stronger. Lewis so respected Clark that he made him a co-commanding captain of the expedition, even though Clark was never recognized as such by the government. Together, they collected a diverse military corps of discovery that would be able to undertake a 2-year journey to the great ocean. Jefferson hoped that Lewis and Clark would find a water route linking the Columbia and Missouri rivers. This water link would connect the Pacific Ocean with the Mississippi River system, thus giving the new western land access to the port markets out of the Gulf of Mexico and to the eastern cities along the Ohio River and its minor tributaries. At the time, American and European explorers had only penetrated what would become each of the Lewis and Clark Trail up the Missouri several miles to the trapper headquarters at Fort Mandan and up the Columbia just a bit over 100 miles to a point a little bit beyond present-day Portland, Oregon. The Lewis and Clark expedition paddled its way down the Ohio as it prepared the expedition to be launched officially from Camp Wood, just outside St. Louis, in the summer of 1804. That summer and the fall of the company of explorers padded and pulled themselves upstream, northwest on the Missouri River to Fort Mandan, a trading post, where the Corps of Discovery set up camp, wintered, and prepared for the journey to the Pacific. When the spring of 1805 brought high water and favorable weather, the Lewis and Clark expedition set out on the next leg of its journey. They traveled up the Missouri to present-day Three Forks, Montana, wisely choosing to follow the westernmost tributary, the Jefferson River. This route delivered the explorers to the doorstep of the Shoshone Indians, who were skilled at traversing the Great Rock Mountains with horses. Once over the Bitterroot Mountains, the Corps of Discovery shaped canoe-like vessels that transported them swiftly downriver to the mouth of the Columbia, where they wintered 1805 to 1806 at Fort Clatsop on the present-day Oregon side of the river. With the journals in hand, Lewis, Clark, and the other members of the expedition returned to St. Louis in September 1806 to report their findings to Jefferson. Along the way, they continued to trade what few goods they still had with the Indians and set up diplomatic relations with the Indians. Additionally, they recorded the contact with Indians and described, and at times drew, the shape of the landscape and the creatures of the Western world, new to the white man. In doing so, they fulfilled many of Jefferson's wishes for the expedition. Along the way, William Clark drew a series of maps that were remarkably detailed, noting and naming rivers and creeks, significant points in the landscape, the shape of the river shore, and spots where the corps spent each night or camped or portaged for longer periods of time. Later, explorers used these maps to further probe the western portion of the continent. The expedition of the Corps Discovery shaped a crude route to the waters of the Pacific and marked an initial pathway for a new nation to spread westward from ocean to ocean, fulfilling what would become many Americans to an obvious destiny. Over the next 2 centuries, the new Americans and many immigrants would wash across the central and western portions of what would eventually become the contiguous 48 states. This wave of development would significantly transform virgin forests and grasslands into a landscape of cities, farms, and harvested forests, displacing fauna such as the buffalo and squeezing the Indians who survived onto reservations. So I asked you to write down words that you wonder about or confusing ideas or words or questions. You guys, this piece of paper is probably about a 7th or 8th grade reading piece of paper. It's not very long, but there's a lot of big words and there's a lot going on here. Good readers, now in the future, and even as an adult, especially when I went to college, I actually went to college to get my master's in immersion. Sometimes there's some really big and really intense things I have to read. I may not know all the words. I may not know all the ideas. So as a good reader, I will oftentimes look at words that I wonder about. I will maybe look at a paragraph and reread it a few times, or I will look in detail and ask questions, okay? So I wanted to ask you, we reread it, what were some words that you guys wondered about that you heard? So you can just tell me them on the web.
Can I say now?
Yes, just give me one.
What's like corpse mean in those sentences?
Corpse of Discovery. It's like a corporation. So corpse. Okay, and I'm gonna write it down so that you guys have it. Corpse is kind of like a group. Okay, so Corps of Discovery, that was the name of that group of the military. So it says they collected a diverse military corps. Actually, it's pronounced Corps of Discovery. Yep. Okay, so good question. So this means group. Okay. Does anybody else have, just shout out, what's another word?
I said the Louisiana Treaty.
So a treaty. Okay, so Louisiana is a state, and a treaty is like it's a legal document. Okay, so you will make a treaty if you want to buy a house, or you will make a treaty if you are selling land. So in this case, they were selling land, and it has things like so right now, a lot of times we'll say how much money is it worth for how much land. Okay, or next year you're going to find out that a lot of the treaties gave them land and food and other things. So it could be money, it could be goods. Okay, so I'm going to say money or goods. Okay, what's another word some of you guys had? Just give me one. Shout it out. I'm not looking at the chat right now.
I had tributaries.
Ooh, tributaries. I love that word. Tributaries are actually small bodies of water. So tributary is, so if you think of a big river like the Mississippi River and it branches out. So if you look, actually this is, ooh, I love this one. So if you look here, like this is the main, like, so this isn't actually the Minnesota River or the Mississippi River, but this is the main, so say this is the main river. The tributaries are the little itty bitty streams and rivers that go off of it. Okay, so they are smaller rivers, and it kind of looks like a tree. So I'm going to call them they're like branches. Okay, from the main river. Okay. Beautiful.
Another one I had is penetrated.
Ooh, penetrated. It kind of means like breakthrough. Okay, so if you've got like a balloon and you poke it with a like a pin, you are penetrating it, you're breaking it. Okay, awesome. Is there another word? There were some big words in here. Anything else?
The one I had is
probe.
You had probe? Probe is another word for like P-R-O-B-E is another word for poke, like poking around. So I'm going to probe your brain. I'm going to poke your brain for ideas. So like probing your brain for ideas. Okay. What was the other one, Riley? You said you had another one?
was me. I had another one. Diplomatic, I think it is.
Ooh, diplomatic. Okay. So diplomatic. Okay. Or you can say a diplomat. Okay. This is like a government official, or like you're doing it officially for the government. Okay, so something official for the government. Official, and it's like for the government. Okay, so for example, if we are getting COVID vaccines, we are going to go to the pharmacy or the pharmaceutical companies, and we are going to have a diplomatic, so our government is going to talk with them. So our government has to go to the pharmacy or the pharmaceutical companies, so something government or something official, in order to get the vaccines for our country. We can't just have Bob down the street go to the pharmaceutical companies and say, send 20 million to the United States. So it has to be diplomatic. So Lewis and Clark did stuff in the name of the government. Okay? Ooh, here's some, hey, there's some of these words down below. Oh, you guys are so smart. So here's some more. Diplomacy, the practice of conducting negotiations, okay, between governments. Ooh. Initiated, maybe is a word, began. Frontiersman, somebody who lives on that settled land, so somebody who explores. Draftsman, okay, is somebody who has a really good skill in sketching or drawing. Corps, a group of people join in a common activity, so that's where I wrote kind of a group of people. Ooh, a route, a course of travel from one place to another. Tributary is a river stream. Penetrated, gone into or through. Ooh, diplomatic relations, agreement between two or more countries. Probe, explore or examine more deeply. So you guys, you actually had a lot of these same things. I'm going to actually continue. Was there any confusing ideas or words, or did you guys have any questions?
I said one confusing idea was, I said forwarding, diplomacy, tributary, and diplomatic relations. Those are my confusing ideas or words. And my questions were, what are the corps of discovery and what are draftsmen?
Ooh, so we know draftsmen. So Lewis and Clark Let's see. One of them was Lewis or Clark a draftsman? I cannot remember. For longer periods of time. Let me look really quick. So they had to, so what, you guys, if you were, let me ask you, if you were traveling somewhere, remember a draftsman is somebody with exceptional skill in sketching or drawing. Why do you think they would need a draftsman?
Because then they
Make
could
the
sketch
maps.
out the map, and so you know where to get back home or something like that.
Ah, so they needed someone skilled to do maps and sometimes landmarks, because sometimes maps aren't always easy to read if you don't have different landmarks. So if you don't have like mountains or something. So maps or to do maps or landmarks. Okay? Somebody new. I want you to tell me a confusing idea, word, or question that you had. So I've had some of these same people that have given me some really good things. I want somebody else. Nora.
One question that I had is, where is Fort Mandan?
Ooh. Where is Fort, what was it again? Fort Mandan? I'm trying to see where it's at really quick. Do you have it spelled out really quick for me?
Mandan.
Ooh, okay. Hey, that's something we can look at really quick. Where is Fort Mandan? Ooh, hey, we got a map of the Louisiana Purchase. Let's open the image. Oh, that doesn't help me. It's still small. Okay. Ooh, Fort Mandan, South Dakota. Okay, so this was one of their, I think this is one of their main. So actually, this talks about maybe this was one of your questions because there's so many words. What was their route? Okay, so this is actually how they went. Okay, so they started here, and remember they ended somewhere in Oregon. Okay, Jesse. Did you have a question or confusing idea or word? No? Okay, so I'm going to actually continue. Oh,
A question.
yeah.
Two. Did Lewis and Clark know about each other before the expedition?
I think they knew about each other, but I don't think they worked together.
And the second one is, was there more people on the expedition? And if yes, why were Lewis and Clark the main two?
Oh, okay, so I'm going to write both of them down. Did Lewis and Clark know each other beforehand? And actually, I don't know the answer to that fully. I think they knew of each other, but I don't know if they worked together. And then the other one was, were they the only ones on the expedition?
And if yes, why were Lewis and Clark the main two?
Okay, so expedition. Ooh, not expedition. What? Expedition. Okay. And then if yes, okay, very good. We're going to continue. So actually, we did a lot of the stuff that is in my PowerPoint. Oh, we already did this. Where are we? Right here. Okay. So we looked at some of the questions. Awesome job, guys. Now, and we already shared it. So you guys, we actually reread this because we read this way on Tuesday. How did rereading help us understand what's in this text? How did rereading it help you and going into detail? How did writing those questions help you understand?
Because you understand it more when you ask questions and you know what, like if you had a question that wasn't answered, maybe you could assume it was something, and then that estimation would be wrong. And so then you would get a different idea of what the text would be about.
Well, exactly.
So then maybe if you reread it and asked questions and then got answers, then it would be a little easier to understand.
Yeah. So you guys remember how I said this was actually this isn't a fifth grade text. This is a little bit harder. And if we want to stretch our brain to become good readers, sometimes we got to read more difficult texts. Did finding images really help you too? I hope so. And if, like I said, if when I was in the university some more, even for my master's or when you're in the university for your initial major, sometimes looking up these things and having the vocabulary words, it's going to help you understand it a lot better. And if we reread it twice, we might have caught something we missed. Okay. How many of you guys like to read your normal storybooks twice? A lot of you? Yeah? I see some of you rose your hand saying, yeah, me. A lot of times, like I was on, I think, Facebook or something, and somebody posted something in Harry Potter going, I love rereading Harry Potter. I always miss little funny quotes or funny things. Okay, so rereading can help you find things you missed. Okay, so you guys, I want to ask you now, what do you think is the big idea of this document? I want you in your notability to write down here, what is the big idea? And I want everybody to take a moment and I want you to write, I think we're going to do this in a sentence frame. I think the main idea of the Lewis and Clark text, if you look, I have a complete sentence because if you just wrote, I think the main idea is, and you just gave it to somebody, they're not going to know what it is. So we are going to write in a complete sentence. And I want you to write down, what do you think the main idea was? Remember, this is in your notability. So if you want to look back at your notability and see or reread a couple things, actually, I'm going to reread this last part really quick. The expedition of the corpse discovery shaped a crude route to the waters of the Pacific and marked an initial pathway for the new nation to spread westward from ocean to ocean, fulfilling what would become to many Americans an obvious discovery. Over the next 2 centuries, the new Americans and many immigrants would wash across the central and western portions of what would eventually become the contiguous 48 United States. This wave of development would significantly transform virgin forests and grasslands into landscape of cities, farms, and harvested forests, displacing fauna such as buffalo and squeezing the Indians who survived onto reservations. Okay? So, a lot of it might help you in this last couple paragraphs, so if you need to re-look at it, you can. I want you to write on your document, your response journal, what do you think the main idea is? When you have what the main idea is, I want you to copy it then and put it in the chat, okay? So re-look the last couple things of Lewis and Clark. Hi, kitty cat. And I want you to tell me, what do you think the main idea is?
Say what I think it is.
I want you to write it down first, and then I want you to put it in the chat. Oh, I see some people some people said they like rereading their books too. Awesome. Ooh, a couple people have main ideas. Ooh, and great job using the text frame. Remember, just do the text frame. You don't need to copy everything in it. It's okay. I probably would have done it too. Ooh. I'm going to start reading this. I want you to still Oh, actually, I'll give you another minute to write down what you think the main idea is. If you have the same thing as everybody else or somebody else, I want you to copy it. I want you to repost it. Because if you have the same thing, ooh, chances are it might be right. And if we all have similar answers, we either are all right or all wrong. And if we're all wrong, we'll figure out how to figure out what it is. No, you can't come up here, Artemis. Sorry, my cat is wanting to jump up with me. Okay, so I only have 4 people who posted it. I should have, how many participants I have? I've got 20 people, so I should have 20 main ideas on here. And if you have something, like I said, similar to someone else, I want you to repost it. And it should be a little bit in different words, huh? Well, you should be able to, you shouldn't copy the other person's chat. You should have it typed in your journal. So I would write it down and then copy it. Oh, some of you guys have some words. Okay. So a lot of you guys, ooh, I'm going to start reading it. Remember, you should have your own thing written down. And I want you to copy it as well, or to write it down. Or you should have it written down and then copy it in the chat. Okay, so I think the main idea is that they had to work together they had to work together to get the 48 states. Ooh, I like how some of you guys put words that were in the text. That their travels, it is about what they found and saw along the way. It is about the expedition that Lewis and Clark went on and how they helped the U.S. I think the main idea is mainly about what they did on the expedition. I think the main idea is the core discovery shaped a route of the unknown part of the USA. Ooh, again, I liked how you guys used some of the vocabulary words that were in the document. Did you guys know in order to learn a new word, it takes 12 times of hearing it, seeing it, and writing it? So if you wanted to remember and learn what those words are, you got to use them. I think the main idea of Lewis and Clark was how they went through the states and how they helped the U.S. Ooh, they went away but had troubles, but also found different lifestyles and landscapes. And exploring the Louisiana Purchase, and that they shaped the future of the U.S. Beautiful, you guys. I love it. Great job. Okay, so we already did that. We learned, actually, a lot of you guys wrote down a bunch of some of your questions. We did learn about what some of the forts were. We learned what their discovery were. We learned that we learned some new vocabulary words. Okay, let's see. Is there anything else you guys learned? Some of you actually put that in your main idea. Ooh, somebody wrote, I learned right here they didn't include Sacagawea. Let's see, what else did we learn? Ooh, was the Louisiana Purchase only for Americans or was it also for immigrants? It was also for immigrants. Hey, I'm going to ask you to write this in the chat. Why do you think they only had 48 United States? Why do they only talk about 48 United States in, where's that picture? Right here. What states are they not including? So they traveled across. And we've got this. I want you to write in the chat. Ooh, somebody has an idea. I want you to think about. They only talked about 48 states. What 2 states are they not talking about in here? Aha. So if you remember, Hawaii is an island. Actually, I get so frustrated with maps. Actually, Hawaii, if you think of the map, it is actually way off my screen over here. Hawaii is really far away from the United States. And then Alaska is up here. Alaska actually is, I think Alaska fits like right in the middle. Alaska's huge. Okay. So that's why they said only those 48 states. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So we talked about this culture web. Okay. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to save this for tomorrow. Tomorrow, the very first thing that we're going to do is we are going to share this in breakout rooms. Okay? So we're going to share some of your beliefs and cultures in a breakout room tomorrow. That's what we're going to start with. The rest of class, you're actually going to do this FRAYER model. Okay? And actually, we can start it together. Okay?
What if I said I already finished?
Can you check your answers with us then?
Yeah.
Perfect. So so this is your homework. We're going to start it together. And if you already finished, then what you can do is you can answer and change if you'd like to. So I am going to go to Schoology. And at the very bottom, remember, the best way to import this into Notability is to go down to our folder. Okay. Week 4, January 4th through the 8th. And it is Family and Culture Web homework. Okay, or it's under Upcoming. Okay, so Family and Culture Web. Oh, yeah, some of you guys did it. If you already did it, I want you to check your answers. Oop, I would like to actually export this to Notability. Import to Notability. Sad face? Why sad face?
Is this the last thing we're doing today?
This is going to be one of the last things. Yep. But we're going to start it. Okay. Ooh, I have the definition, right? In my vocabulary of culture. Culture. I'm just going to copy this. Copy. Is the way a particular group of people live and understands the world. Nope, that's too big. Beautiful. So, characteristics. Ooh, some of you guys have some good facts about Alaska and Hawaii. Some characteristics. Hey, if you did your homework yesterday, do we have some characteristics in here? Yes, we do. So what are some things that your culture might include? That might include, ooh, very good, religion. It might include beliefs and values. Where is this? So it might include, I need another box. So it might include religion. It might include beliefs and values. Just write in the chat. Write in the chat. What else could it include? So think of your homework. What other things did we talk about? Food, ooh, lifestyles. Clothing. What else? Houses, ooh, it could be, why don't I say way of living? And sometimes your clothing would be like your appearance. Awesome job. Appearance. Okay, and way of living. Okay, so, hopefully you already have some examples. Okay, so I want you, so for the rest of the time, I want you to write down, and I would hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, use your homework here to write down what were some examples and what are some non-examples. Okay, so what things would not be culture? So for example, maybe I'm going to write one or two and I want you to write more. So maybe school, that's not necessarily part of our culture. Maybe some things like
would it count as like a brand of clothes you wear? That's not really a type of culture.
Okay, yeah, I like that. So if you think of like clothing, but maybe it's a specific brand of clothes. We're not going to wear Supreme brand or Gap because of your culture. Because, yeah. Okay, so I want you to write other ones, okay? So these were my examples. I want to see a couple more. Okay, so this is going to be due for homework. I want you to write some examples. I want you to write some non-examples. And then right away tomorrow, we're going to start off and we are going to share this. So if this is not done, you need to share it because I'm going to be listening in tomorrow and we're going to talk all about this tomorrow. Okay, so that is all that I have for today. You guys did an awesome job sharing. So we'll see you later. Hasta luego.
Thank you. Today was really fun learning about Ocean Park.
Yes, I love a bunch of those. So,
Have
bye.
a good day.
You too.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah.